Yo, what's up guys, it's Jack and welcome back to another video. And you guys know that term, the higher the risk, the higher the reward? Well, it turns out that very much the same thing applies to Call of Duty as well as in life at times as well. Now granted, you can get unlucky sometimes, and sometimes the risk ends up screwing you over, but for the most part there really is little to no worry when it comes to Call of Duty, right? Big deal, you die a few more times, so what? But the thing is this video is basically going to be talking about the Cordite SMG, and in my humble opinion, in my experience, it is still a top tier weapon in this game, and I'm calling it right now. I think it's going to be, as of right now, the way everything feels and such, this game is pretty much the VMP of Black Ops 4, and I wouldn't be surprised if I start seeing it in the competitive modes. Yes, there is some recoil, but obviously with the grip, it's a hell of a lot better. And I know it's very, 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 very intimidating, especially when you get your hands on this weapon and without the grip, and it tends to kick a little bit all over the place, to put it kindly. And it's a lot harder to control, but if you're in close range, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And at the same time, when you put a grip on it, that is when it starts to become a little bit more versatile. It doesn't get rid of the recoil completely, and just like the rest of the guns, or at least most of the guns in this game, the recoil is a hell of a lot more predictable when it comes to when you put a grip on it. But with this gun, it's actually very, very versatile. You could take people out at a good distance. You can take groups of people out because the fire rate is actually pretty good. It's not the top of the fire rate, but I do think, though, in terms of the way it feels, I think it's got the most damage output out of all the SMGs in class. I'm going to do some more experimenting, but I'm not entirely sure. Because remember, sometimes it's not just about the data that you get from the in-game files or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's also about how the game, about how the gun feels when you play it. Because when you go from offline to online and you're testing it with things like lag and ping and all the latency and all that kind of stuff, and the 20 hertz servers that we're apparently playing on, when you put everything into the equation, how everything feels is a very big deal to the players in the game, and as well as the game itself, and in terms of what gun players are going to gravitate towards. And a lot of people right now are gravitating towards, like, let's say the ICR, which is very, very understandable, especially with the kind of attachments you can put on it to eliminate not just recoil, as if the gun barely had any recoil anyway, but in terms of flinch and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's and the fire rate and the damage output, again, very understandable. But at the same time, like I said in the very beginning of the video, the greater the risk, the greater the reward, especially when it comes to this case. So, because you can find that with trying out and experimenting with different guns, it'll actually, in the long run, it'll make you a better player. Because when you use a weapon that's a little bit harder to use than the one that's super easy to use, it's going to make you better. Because I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of a story that I heard. I don't remember if it was in a commentary of his video or if he said it on stream, but one of the best players, especially when he played on console, one of the best console players to ever do it, PwnStars.com. Right now he plays on PC, but I'm sure a lot of people were wondering how the hell this guy got so good on console. And the thing is this, the way he started when he was, I think he was about 12 years old or whatnot, and if by some miracle he happens to see this video, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but when he was 12 years old, he was playing on a Dreamcast, and he was playing on the Quake servers back on the Dreamcast, but the servers, though, were shared with PC users, and there was no aim assist, and he was using the Dreamcast and the controller. I don't think he had a PC at the time. So when you do that for a long ass time, and you're going up against mouse and keyboard players with no aim assist on Quake, and you're using a controller and you're playing on a Dreamcast as opposed to a PC with mouse and keyboard, dude, you're at a very big disadvantage. And on top of that, there's no aim assist. So for PC players, it would be the same business as usual. But then again, for somebody on the Dreamcast, it would be a big, big pain in the ass. I can only imagine the struggle that he went through, dying time and time again. But I'm sure when COD was released and then he ended up playing COD on console, I'm sure it was like the easiest thing to him, because he was used to going up against PC players with no aim assist on Quake, which is even faster paced than what COD is. And let's not forget that COD is actually a modification. The COD engine is a modification of the Quake engine itself. So when you put all these things together, this guy got really, really good, to the point that so many people were accusing him of using using a Zim back then when he was using a controller and all that kind of stuff. He was accused of using an aimbot, accusations left and right, and right now he's back to his PC roots, and people still accuse him of accusations. But the thing is this: when you play like that for a long time in your youth, and then after so many years go by, and then you play something like COD, all of a sudden it's the easiest thing to be a damn good shot from the get-go. And yeah, and as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, he said that's one of the reasons why he left left console, went back to PC, is because the aim assist became increased over the years, and it's one of the reasons. Obviously, PC was his first love, is when he really started getting into things. Which is understandable to kind of go back to what you love and to what your roots are, which is very understandable. But yeah, so the same kind of philosophy goes into using different weapons in this game. Now, obviously, there are some certain weapons that people don't want to use. That's fine. Like for me, for instance, I don't like to use snipers. It's just not my thing. I'm an AR SMG guy. And now that I've pretty much gotten a feel for the game, I'm starting to use SMGs a lot more now. I'm getting a feel for things. And this gun right here, I'm telling you, is still, in my opinion, a top-tier SMG, especially when put into the right hands. So for those of you guys that are very much average players, expect to struggle a little bit with the gun, but if you practice and if you put in the time, before long you'll see that you'll end up doing some pretty good shit with this weapon, and it's especially after you put a grip on it. In terms of attachments, you can't go wrong with any attachments. There's no quick draw or anything. The weapon has a good hip fire on its own because its fire rate's really good, but if you put laser sight on it, it's still pretty damn good. Long barrel, you can't go wrong with long barrel. The more stopping power, the better from a distance, in order to compete a little bit more with the assault rifles, or even to outclass the other SMGs. You really can't go wrong with it. So in all respect to every single player out there, you know, maybe we should put the ICR down, for instance, for a little bit, and give other weapons a shot, like for instance the Cordite or whatnot. It's an absolute monster, and in due time, at first it's going to take some getting used to, but in due time you'll see. It's very well worth it. So I'm going to be doing some more experimenting with some other games, other SMGs as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's all I got for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comment section if you've been using the Cordite already. What's your experience with it? What do you think? And let me know down in the comment section everything and anything. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. And if you didn't, let me know what I could do to make my videos better. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.